The 1970s in Britain, a decade often remembered for its economic struggles and social unrest. Yet beneath the surface of strikes and power cuts, a vibrant cultural revolution was brewing. This was a time of extraordinary change, a period where old certainties were challenged and new identities forged. Britain was shedding its post-war skin, embracing new sounds, styles and attitudes. The 1970s were a melting pot of cultural innovation. Music, fashion and television became battlegrounds for self-expression. Young people, in particular, were finding their voice, rejecting the norms of their parents' generation. The rise of subcultures, from glam rock to punk, mirrored this societal shift, each with its unique style and sound. The decade also witnessed significant historical events that left an indelible mark on British society. The rise of punk rock, a raw and rebellious musical genre, shook the foundations of the music industry. It became a symbol of youthful disillusionment and anti-establishment sentiment. This video journeys back to 1970s Britain. We will explore the decade's popular culture, fashion, music and everyday life. We will hear from those who lived through these transformative years, capturing their memories and experiences. Join us as we delve into the heart of this turbulent yet exhilarating decade. Music was the lifeblood of 1970s Britain, a potent force that shaped youth culture and reflected the changing times. It was a decade where the airwaves were filled with revolutionary sounds that resonated deeply with the younger generation. It wasn't just about the tunes, it was a way of life, a badge of identity. Music was the medium through which young people expressed their individuality and their collective spirit. From the glam rock flamboyance of David Bowie to the gritty realism of punk, music provided a soundtrack to the decade's hopes, anxieties and aspirations. It was a mirror reflecting the societal shifts and the inner turmoil of a generation seeking its place in a rapidly changing world.
Glam rock, with its androgynous style and theatrical performances, ruled the early 1970s. It was a genre that broke boundaries and challenged traditional norms, offering a sense of freedom and creativity. Bands like T-Rex and Slade dominated the charts, their music a fusion of catchy melodies and heavy guitar riffs. Their performances were electrifying, drawing in massive crowds and creating a vibrant, almost otherworldly atmosphere. Teenagers, adorned in glitter and platform shoes, flocked to their concerts, embracing the escapism and exuberance of the glam rock spectacle. It was a time of bold fashion statements and a celebration of individuality.
As the decade progressed, punk rock emerged, a raw and rebellious counterpoint to the perceived excesses of glam. It was a genre that stripped music down to its bare essentials, focusing on raw energy and direct messages. Bands like the Sex Pistols and The Clash channeled the frustrations of working-class youth. Their lyrics were a stark commentary on the socio-political landscape, resonating with those who felt marginalized and unheard. Their music, a raw blast of energy and anger, provided an outlet for disillusionment with social inequality and economic hardship. Punk was more than just a genre. It was a movement, a voice for the voiceless. Music became a powerful tool for social commentary. It was a platform for artists to speak out against injustices and to inspire change. Folk singers like Bob Dylan and Joan Baez continued to inspire with their politically charged lyrics. Their songs were anthems for peace and justice, rallying cries for a better world. Reggae music, brought over from Jamaica, gained a following, particularly among the Afro-Caribbean community. It was a genre that spoke of resilience and hope, with rhythms that echoed the heartbeat of a people. The 1970s witnessed music's transformative power. It was a decade where genres collided and new sounds emerged, each contributing to the rich tapestry of the era's musical landscape. It was a decade where music wasn't just something to listen to. It was a way to express oneself, to rebel, to belong. It was a form of communication that transcended words, a universal language that united people across different backgrounds. It was a reflection of the times, a soundtrack to a decade of change and upheaval. Music in the 1970s was a dynamic force, constantly evolving and pushing boundaries, leaving an indelible mark on the cultural fabric of Britain. Fashion in 1970s Britain was a glorious mishmash of styles, a reflection of the decade's cultural dynamism. It was a time when the fashion scene was as vibrant and varied as the music and art that defined the era. It was a time for experimentation, for pushing boundaries and challenging conventions. Designers and fashion enthusiasts alike were not afraid to mix and match, creating looks that were both innovative and daring. From the flamboyant glam rock looks to the DIY aesthetic of punk, fashion became another avenue for self-expression, a way to make a statement. People used their clothing to communicate their identities, beliefs and affiliations.
The early 1970s saw the rise of glam rock fashion. Inspired by icons like David Bowie, this style was characterized by its boldness and extravagance. Platform shoes with their towering heights were de rigueur. These shoes were not just about adding inches, but also about making a bold fashion statement. Flared trousers, often made from velvet or satin, added to the dramatic silhouettes. These trousers were a staple in many wardrobes, symbolizing the era's love for exaggerated forms. Glitter, sequins, and bold colors were embraced, blurring the lines between genders in a celebration of self-expression and theatricality. This was a time when fashion was not just about looking good, but about standing out and being seen. Punk rock, in the latter half of the decade, ushered in a starkly different aesthetic. This movement was a reaction against the excesses of glam rock and mainstream fashion. Ripped jeans held together with safety pins, leather jackets adorned with band patches, and hairstyles that defied gravity became synonymous with the punk movement. It was a raw, edgy look that spoke of rebellion and nonconformity. It was an anti-fashion statement, a rejection of mainstream trends in favor of a DIY, rebellious aesthetic. Punk fashion was about taking control and creating something unique and personal.
But the 1970s weren't just about extremes. The everyday fashion of the decade also had its own unique charm. Everyday fashion saw the rise of unisex clothing. This trend was about breaking down the barriers between men's and women's fashion, promoting a more inclusive and versatile wardrobe. Bell-bottom jeans, t-shirts and cheesecloth shirts transcended gender norms. These items became staples in many people's wardrobes, offering comfort and style in equal measure. It was a time when comfort and practicality often trumped high fashion. People wanted to look good, but they also wanted to feel good in what they were wearing. The decade also saw the rise of ethnic influences in fashion. This was a reflection of the growing interest in and appreciation for different cultures around the world. Indian embroidery, African prints and Eastern-inspired designs found their way into mainstream clothing. These influences added a rich, diverse texture to the fashion landscape of the 1970s. This reflected a growing awareness of global cultures and a willingness to embrace diverse aesthetics. The fashion of the 1970s was a true melting pot, bringing together elements from all over the world to create something truly unique and memorable. Television in 1970s. Britain wasn't just a source of entertainment, it was a window to the world, a shared experience that brought families together and sparked national conversations. Families would gather around the television set, creating a communal atmosphere where everyone, from children to grandparents, could enjoy the same programs and discuss them afterward. From iconic sitcoms to hard-hitting dramas, television reflected the changing social landscape and provided a talking point for a nation undergoing rapid transformation. It was a medium that mirrored societal shifts, capturing the essence of the times and influencing public opinion.
Sitcoms like Fawlty Towers and Some Mothers Do Have 'Em provided light-hearted escapism. These shows offered a break from the daily grind, allowing viewers to laugh at the absurdities of life. Their witty dialogue and memorable characters offered a humorous take on British life, albeit often exaggerated for comedic effect. The characters became household names, and their antics were the subject of much water-cooler talk. These shows became national treasures, their catchphrases entering the lexicon of everyday conversation. Phrases like "don't mention the war" from Fawlty Towers became part of the cultural fabric, quoted and referenced in various contexts.
Social realism found a powerful voice in dramas like Coronation Street and EastEnders. These shows didn't shy away from depicting the gritty realities of life, offering a stark contrast to the light-hearted sitcoms. These long-running soaps tackled contemporary issues from unemployment and poverty to racism and sexism. They brought to light the struggles faced by ordinary people, making these issues part of the national conversation. They provided a platform for marginalized voices and sparked important discussions about the realities of life in 1970s Britain. By addressing these topics, television played a crucial role in raising awareness and fostering empathy among viewers. Television also played a crucial role in shaping musical tastes. It was a time when music and television were closely intertwined, with TV shows serving as a primary source of new music for many people. Shows like Top of the Pops provided a platform for artists to showcase their music videos, making it a must-watch for anyone wanting to stay abreast of the latest chart toppers. The show was a cultural phenomenon, influencing fashion, dance, and even social attitudes. Children's television flourished, with shows like Doctor Who and Bagpuss capturing the imaginations of young viewers. These programs were not just entertaining, they were formative experiences that shaped the childhoods of many. These programs offered a mix of entertainment and education, often imparting important life lessons through engaging storytelling. They taught values such as bravery, kindness, and curiosity, leaving a lasting impact on their young audiences.